And even if this thread manages to get a couple of replies from drunken stoners, they will quickly come to their senses and close the thread, never to return once they get one whiff of this diseased and infected Reddit thread. OP will never be happy.
48 minutes of dogs barking. 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 Growl. Growl. 48 minutes of dogs barking. 48 minutes of dogs barking.
I was going to try and have this energy continue for at least 20 more minutes. Like, I woke up from that, felt great, and then just all immediately cratered the second I got out of my neighborhood. I was like, oh, okay, well, that was nice. That was nice for like 20 minutes. Say, I was like, the world's kind of beautiful.
Sitting in your car during it, yeah, not ideal. So you got stuck in traffic on the way here.
I hate living in Illinois. It is not the move. One of the dumbest things I've ever done, and I've done some dumb shit in this life. Getting around is a fucking pain in the ass because everything I fucking do is on the other side of the river. So I'm constantly battling the traffic to get over into St. Louis, and it's on some bullshit half the time. I had a 2.5 hour commute a week ago. As far as the crow flies, I'm not even 10 miles away from where I work.
Ooh, baby.
Got home from work, ate something, brushed my teeth, and then just drove back here to your place to record.
Well, it's 48 minutes of dogs barking. I'm Jason. That's Brian. Yeah. There's really no...
Really, the fucking east side kind of sucks. There's some good Asian food over there. That's about it. But we're on the right side, which is the left side, which is the vaguely democratic stronghold in a red state, where I live in the vaguely conservative stronghold in a blue state, and it's all separated by a little river that we're constantly polluting so that we can get a new type of crawfish that is resilient to boiling.
Our very own like mud crabs from Fallout.
It's a sturgeon that can also be used as ceiling putty. It's just some terrible abomination. It was just running straight diesel straight into the Mississippi. Yeah, we're making the fish tougher.
There's a guy out there, just his whole job is just turn that crank once a day.
He's turning the knob. He's making it's like the Simpsons joke about the Pinchy.
Yeah.
Where he puts Pinchy in the fucking tank and he's bouncing the salt in the fresh water, and so the fish aren't dying, but it's just or the racism meter. I'm watching the crowd.
I'm looking at the fish turning the diesel dial. All right. Well, speaking of things that are going to destroy humanity eventually, we're going to kick off this week with a story that my teenagers told me about, so you know it has to be good. This appeared in the New York Times. Okay?
Okay.
Brain rot comes for Italy, says the headline. Meet Ballerina Cappuccina and the Italian Brainrot crew, an absurd group of AI-generated characters that are flooding TikTok and, by extension, every short-form video site, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook Reels, all that. Alicia Haratsani Gupta here, writing, the first thing you need to know about Italian brain rot is that it is not strictly Italian. The second thing you need to know is that any discussion of what it means will most likely make you seem very uncool. You're just supposed to get it, and will probably involve a lot of head scratching. The Italian brain rot subgenre emerged in January when absurd characters generated by AI started to show up in TikTok feeds. The characters melded animals or humans with inanimate objects, and many were tagged with the hashtag Italian brain rot, which now has over 3 billion views. The memes have some vague Italianness to them. Either their names sound Italian, or they touch on stereotypical or reductive, depending on who you ask, Italian cultural markers like coffee, that are often accompanied by AI-generated audio of what sounds like a heavily accented Italian man's narration, but when translated, is often nonsensical.
Trallallero trallallà, porco Dio e porco Allah. Ero con il mio fottuto figlio merdardo a giocare a Fortnite. quando a un punto arriva mia nonna, Ornella Lecca Cappella.
It's like that tweet that Cal40 had about how, remember the internet was a thing that you would go visit and then you would walk away from, and now it's like, hey, remember when Google would send you stuff that was what you were actually looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also looks like some crazy bullshit.
It's absolutely crazy bullshit. They're doing the same thing they did with something very simple like the back rooms, which was a very simple thing, and they turned it into like, and then there's 47 levels. This one is now like, well, you see, Tug Sahur is in a fight with Cappuccina Italiana, and she's very bad at the shark. Shut the fuck up. What the fuck does any of this mean? Tralalero, tralala, Bombini, Guisini, Burbaloni, Luluoni, which is a capybara in a
The coconut?
Sure, man. All right. It's just, there's a El Bobrito.
The gangster beaver?
Yeah. Bombadiro Crocodilo, a crocodile mixed with a B12.
That feels like an Italian Spider-Man character.
Completely insane stuff. The duck that is also a fighter jet, also a fighter bomber. The goose one is like, now they have things like, well, he's got a hometown, and like they're just. Now there's entire storylines built around this. It's Skibbity Toilet. It's, it's all that stuff where...
It feels like something that's destined for Ed Zitron to do a 45-minute monologue on why it sucks.
I look forward to it. I live for the day.
Congrats on the Webby, Ed.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
I voted for you like 300 times illegally, so it's all
legally.
Good.
I was on Fiverr and listed an entire legal Chinese server click farm.
Oh, completely above board, Ada. We love you. Another weird thing came up on the old internet this week. A gentleman named Sridhar Ramesh.
Frequently featured on this.
That's right, Radish Harmers. I didn't remember. Yes, that's right. But he asked a simple question. Does no one sell wired noise-canceling headphones anymore? Isn't this a convenient thing to have on a plane? A nice starter conversation, a topic starter. It got like 3,000 likes, a bunch of replies, but then it became completely unhinged when someone quote tweeted and said the following. This is at Laundress. Obsession with pro noise cancellation and silence / headphone / no talking on speakerphone, watching videos, etc. in public is surely a fascist cultural victory, a sign of dark times ahead. To which my favorite YouTube guy, Flesh Simulator, responded with a mock-up of a swastika, but it's a pair of headphones. People did not understand this.
Barbarism critic, just what?
yeah, people just did not know what to make of this. It's like when pressed, they said, "I'm being crucified for saying I tolerate it when other people play loud noises in public spaces. It's unbelievable." Other people chimed in. This is at Abi Shui. Actually, the breaking of the social contract and watching and listening to loud things without headphones in public constitutes a hyper-individual solipsism, which is closer to a fascist ethos than being considerate of others. Okay. And other people...
I mean, they're not wrong.
No.
Like, every warehouse I've ever worked in where a guy just, like, blasted shit on his phone. Like, I could tell you stories about working at and just like people that were just like having loud conversations in like Croatian on the speakerphone in the break room and like laughing or like watching videos. Like it was usually like an older guy. Yeah. And just being like, come on, dude. Like, can you get some AirPods?
Last time I was out of town, coming home on the metro, late at night, there's a guy who sits like 3 seats away from me and he starts blaring this podcast about some rapper. It was apparently like a local guy wherever this podcaster was working out of. He's blaring it on one of those rolling speakers. Like this motherfucker had a speaker.
Oh yeah, got the JVC.
Yeah, dude, trade the speaker in for the headphones. What the fuck are you doing?
But that's the thing. Like,
I know.
I mean, like that has also been a meme. Is like the dumbest guy you work with has the fucking speaker and is listening to like, we'll have Andrew Tate but dumber on it. And yeah, like that's a fucking bit.
Jesus. Let's see here. Robert Secundus quote tweeted this. This may be the most incredible bit I've encountered in years. Responding to people saying things like, it is good to be respectful of others in public, use headphones instead of playing videos on full blast, with, but we live in a society and societies are noisy. Just absolutely incredible bait to reframe basic politeness and consideration of others as antisocial fascist behavior. He goes in for the killing blow because at Laundress continued, enjoying quietness is a lot like enjoying nature, children's cartoons, in parentheses, as an adult, or enjoying, quote, turning your brain off, to which he, quote, tweets that, say, like enjoying nature or an adult enjoying children's cartoons is a masterstroke. I would definitely agree with that. Is this bait? Is this real? I don't know.
I don't know, chat.
Sometimes, we talked about fascism in that last one, and the good folks over at Nike really...
wow. Apparently they know something we don't know. The race war is coming, and you better be wearing your fucking Dopemans.
So Nike put up a big banner ad at the London Marathon, and it read, "Never again, period. Until next year, period." Now, for those of you not in the know, never again, of course, is a phrase associated with the Holocaust, saying, we're never going to let this happen again. But the folks at Nike apparently not doing their research. Here's at Anti-Semitism Eye on Twitter, Eyes on Anti-Semitism, showing an image of the crane and the billboard and then just saying, boycott Nike. A lot of folks agreed with that. Nike did release a statement. We did not mean any harm and apologize for any we caused. The London billboards were part of a broader campaign titled Winning Isn't Comfortable, built on runners' insights and designed to motivate
6 million
runners.
runners sounds like a lot.
God damn. A series of billboards with taglines such as, remember why you signed up for this.
I don't know if that one works. I don't know. You did it to protect the fatherland.
Yeah. And this is bloody tough, and never again until next year were placed along the route, and the copy was based on common phrases used by runners. I don't know if I'm buying Nike's whole deal with this.
I don't know about that either.
Yeah, not really feeling that.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That seems bad.
Not liking that. And I'll leave you with a little bit of levity for what's new on the internet this week. This is somebody who's a true blue comedy wacko on the internet. You may know him from such things as the soup that makes you blind for a day as punishment for the daughter eating his hair. The 25 men entered my home. Basically, a lot of signs on lampposts that you just leave around with strange and cryptic messages about, please vote for which one of my neighbors gets to keep my dog, or just odd stuff. Well, the gentleman's by the name of Alan Wagner, at True Wagner on Twitter. And he posted this video. It's about a minute long, and it is a fucking journey. Let's hear that.
I saw this at 7-Eleven. That's me. And that's the man watching me on security. You can click him. You can even send emoji. The pants emoji. Surprise Michael. I couldn't resist. He started to get sad. And he made a phone call.
Hey,
Oh no.
why do you bother, Michael? Michael is the greatest man I've ever seen. Michael is a great man, and you are a nothing man. Michael has a perfect soul, and you have a soul of dirt.
Michael has a perfect soul. Yeah, it starts out very simply like day in the life TikTok style. I saw this video.
The bad auto-generated voice that doesn't have the right inflection.
Who wants one? Yeah, just and the poor lady who did that voice, she got a TikTok account and was like, okay, I'll do requests. But then people were sending her like gooner shit that for her to say. She's like, never mind. I'm not going to do this anymore.
Amazing.
Got your butthole, like they'd ask her to say shit and she's like,
I I've got your butthole. Who ate all the pussy?
And it was actually her voice and the bad text-to-speech. This is a complete side note. But people had to censor the word lesbian, right?
Right.
So they did LE $ bean. So le dollar bean is now apparently a very common thing for the youth to say.
Le dollar bean?
Le dollar bean, yeah.
I mean, you know what? I mean, we had fucking leet speak and shit like that.
Yeah,
so,
but we wouldn't say it out loud.
I don't know. I had friends that would, I mean, not sarcastically, maybe ironically, say things like, I'm a leet hacksaw.
Yeah, okay.
But not so straight-faced about it. Like, definitely like...
Anyway,
Alan Wagner. Fun little video. Alan Wagner.
What a hoot. I like his
beautiful
stuff.
Video.
And apparently, this is from April 23rd, so it was about a little over a week ago, but it's fun. It hasn't made the rounds quite everywhere yet. I'm hoping Alan Wagner will one day get the recognition he deserves, because I'm in a couple of different groups on Facebook where it's like, what does this mean? So I get to explain deep cut internet memes to people. It's a nice little side gig, I do it for free. And one of his came up the other day, the daughter biting the guy's hair, and I was like, oh, we covered that on my show. Here's the whole thing about the stew that makes you go blind for a day. Yeah. All right, it's time for Crypto Scam of the Week.
You're listening to 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking, the podcast.
And now it's time for the Crypto Scam of the Week.
This here from the Cointelegraph. $330 million Bitcoin social engineering theft victim is an elderly United States citizen. And his name is Donald Trump.
I was going to say, Nancy Pelosi? They got her. They finally got her.
The hack took place April 28th. Our good friend Zach XBT flagged a suspicious transfer involving 3,520 Bitcoin, at the time valued at $330 million. Following the transfer, the stolen cash quickly laundered through over 6 instant exchanges and swapped into Monero, which is down.
Yeah. Fuck, I haven't thought about Monero in forever.
So it says on-chain data shows the victim had held over 3,000 Bitcoin since 2017.
So they're definitely up on their investment. Jesus.
Yeah, with no prior history of large-scale transactions. Zach XPT on the 28th, 9 hours ago, a suspicious transfer was made from a potential victim. It was it was gone to Monero XMR, causing the XMR price to spike. Zach then spent a little while working on this, about 2 days before he got back to us with an update. It is confirmed to be a social engineering theft from an elderly individual in the U.S. It didn't take long, though. I mean, like the minute they got that Bitcoin, they went off to do mixers and...
Oh, yeah, that shit was gone. They yeeted that shit.
So Yehor Rudisia, on-chain researcher at Hacken, explained to Cointelegraph that their internal tool Extractor tracked that Bitcoin funneled through these chains, which now amounts to around 60 million after repeated peeling and redistribution across low credibility exchanges. 300 hacker wallets and 20-plus exchanges or payment services were involved, including our good friends at Binance.
Hey, they're helping the little guy.
A Binance spokesperson did a little bit of boilerplate, yada, yada, yada. We're aware of the incident, etc. Yehor continues, major problem in cases like this, similar to the Genesis creditors' 4,064 Bitcoin theft back in August of last year, is that freezing centralized exchange accounts used in the laundering process is hardened due to the particularly slow legal process of police reporting and investigations. Adding to the complexity, the attacker rapidly converted a significant portion of the Bitcoin into Monero. The move triggered a 50% surge on Monero's price. So it went to $339, now it's back to $232 again. It says here, once funds are swapped into Monero, tracing becomes virtually impossible. Due to its architecture, the chance of recovery drops significantly. Severance alerts senior security operations lead Hakan Unal said. Unal said that the attacker likely had pre-established accounts across multiple exchanges and OTC desks. I'm assuming that means over-the-counter? Yes. Okay. Suggesting a high degree of premeditation. A small portion of the stolen Bitcoin was bridged to Ethereum and deposited into various platforms, further complicating tracking efforts. Investigators have since alerted exchanges for potential freezing. ZachXBT dismissed the theory that Lazarus Group was behind it. He said, highly probable it's not. That's the only source we have on that. It's just a tweet. It's highly probable it's not. Okay. It looks like it was a series of social engineering calls and automated things going on. It's truly fascinating. There's really no easy way around this. I mean, somebody got in good with this person. And again, their identity is not public, and that's probably for the good. So they don't get got again. But I'm thinking like elderly. How old are we thinking the elderly is, right? 70s, 80s?
Yeah. 55.
I'm 12 years out from that. Please don't.
Alcohol has ruined my life. I'm 35 years old.
That's fair. But
Hans Mollman
yes.
is the answer, is elderly.
Okay. Hans Mollman is elderly. Okay. The president, elderly or no?
Oh, he's old as fuck, man. First of all, he wears adult diapers.
Well, that's been, that's a thing. Yeah.
So he's old. He's never going to die.
Yeah, so he's like Kissinger. He's never going to fucking die. We're never going to get rid of this guy.
When it happens,
mm-hmm.
when it happens.
A celebration like I've never seen before. It's going to be like the end of the Return of the Jedi.
When we talk about people being cringe and inescapable like Elon Musk, we have to understand there was a much humbler precedent 20 or so years ago. And I'm talking about our main subject. A man from our cherished gateway city, which we call home, Mound City, gateway to the west. I would say gateway to the best.
Indeed.
Where you can get pizza that is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. No public transportation. But
you can get to the airport. That's about it.
You get to the airport, get to a sports game. And we definitely live in the city where any car with a Molon Loeb sticker typically has a free gun in it. All you gotta do is bust the window.
I mean, it says come and take it.
Come and take it. So I need that.
I took it as literal.
I need a poorly maintained Taurus 9mm. And I need it now.
You know that's all those motherfuckers have. Yeah.
We're talking about Big Peeler.
Big Peeler.
Perhaps one of the first quote-unquote superstar posters of the Something Awful forums.
Well, now, superstar posters specific to a subforum, general bullshit, also known as GBS. The place, if you're posting very badly on Fuck You and Die or Fayad, that you'll be told to go back to.
Yes.
The assumption is that GBS posters are, we didn't really have a name for it at the time, but looking back now, you could say they were very Reddit. They were very FARC. They were very basic bitch.
LOL.
They weren't quirky and dumb like the BYOB guys. They weren't extremely nerdy and quick to anger like Yo's posts. Something about GBS attracted the most middle-of-the-road type folks. And sometimes that was fine. That's where the Photoshop Fridays were. There have been some good GBS threads. But most of the time you get guys like Big Peeler. Now, Big Peeler, his whole big deal was that, this according to the essay, the Something Awful Encyclopedia, a legendary forums poster who rose to superstardom in early 2003 by posting a series of stories detailing his adventures as a carpet cleaner and a zookeeper. Now, some of you might not know this, but SomethingAwful.com used to have a lot of original writing, and some of the posts on the front page were from the forums. Some guys like Fragmaster or Bob Mackey or whoever would compile.
Zach Parson, John Hedron, a.k.a. Fart.
Yeah, they would compile the best of certain threads and post them as articles. And good old Big Peeler was mentioned 4 times because there were 4 different extremely long threads about his time as a zookeeper. And so these were the articles that they were referencing here.
Tales from the Zoo.
So that is Ryan Adams, a.k.a. OMG WTF BBQ. Do you want to take this one?
We also got a preface here that Big Peeler worked at the St. Louis Zoo.
Yes.
Which is a very historic and free operation here in St. Louis. People are always like, oh, the zoo is free. But I actually have a friend who is a big zoo enthusiast.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that actually it's one of the worst things about the zoo is that it's free.
Really?
I was like, well, please explain your rationale. And their response was, well, because there's fucking kiosks everywhere trying to sell you shit. And they're right.
Yeah.
Because I've traveled with them and gone to the zoo in Omaha and Kansas City. Those are like, $20 again or whatever. A lot less shit getting shoved down your throat. A lot more animals you can go, yeah, that's fucking stupid. Though I would say our free art museum is a better value.
Definitely.
But the zoo it's been around, 100 years now?
Yeah.
Losing tons of funding because of Trump. I heard the elephants. Her Raja is going to be joining Barnum and Bailey.
Barnum and Bailey doesn't take elephants anymore.
I guess he's going to a roadside attraction in Franklin County.
Joe Exotic's going to pick him up. It was a big deal, Raja the elephant, wasn't it?
God, it was fucking... You think that fucking elephant found out a way to cheat on your taxes that couldn't be traced? That little fucker? God. I was so sick and tired of hearing that about that fucking elephant when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And also, the worst field trips I ever took as a grade schooler were always to the St. Louis Zoo, because guess what you got to see?
Raja the elephant.
No, you probably got to see Raja, but you got to see jack shit.
Right.
Because every 500 feet, you had to stop and recount the fucking kids.
Ah, yes.
So I remember a couple times going to why I didn't like going to the zoo for a while, because it felt like every time we went there, okay, cool, we got to see the ape house, and now it's time to get back on the fucking bus. This is bullshit. Why can't I stay at home and just play Caveman Olympics on Nintendo?
Well,
a proper Christian boy.
And the ape house too, the smelliest place in the entire.
Yeah. But yes, so he apparently worked at the zoo. One of his first big threads was talking about working there. There's a story here called "Big Peeler Gets in the Ass from an Ostrich," which is pretty good. But my favorite is one involving an elephant. We had a male elephant for a while named Herman. He was fairly mature, and he was used for breeding purposes. All of his keepers would take turns breeding him in the ass, and okay, I couldn't resist. To breed Asian elephants successfully was a real feather in the cap of the zoo that could pull it off. With that in mind, the zoo bought Herman and slowly introduced him to the females. All went well at first, but in time he began showing real aggressive tendencies, and it got to the point where he thought he would injure either himself or one of the cows. Because of this, we decided to sequester him in his own cage until he changed his attitude. He never did. He started to get worse. In fact, he started to get so bad it was getting dangerous for the keepers to go in the yard with him. So we went ahead and set him up with his own yard with a pool and plenty of running room. All of the yards had huge iron bars separating them so that the animals could see each other but keep out of harm's way. Plus, the bars were far enough apart for the keepers to scoot from yard to yard without having to back into the barn. We put all 6 females into the middle yard with Herman in the yard to the right of them. Most of the time, the girls would hang around the fence to flirt with Herman. He would stand there and they'd trunk each other and behave pretty well. But sometimes Herman would blow it by trying to headbutt the females through the fence. Believe me, to see that massive bull elephant get pissed made you realize just how puny and small we humans are. He would take his huge noggin and just bang the fence. It would shake the whole fucking barn. Elephants have air pockets in their skull. That's how they can use their heads to knock down huge trees and move rocks and shit in the wild. And that's why we would use our bull hooks to clobber them in the head. It didn't hurt them, but the air pockets would resonate and make a lot of noise. They didn't like that, and they'd respond. We would always get these animal rights assholes showing up when we were working with the elephants, and when we'd hit them in the head, these freaks would scream and make a huge scene like we were hitting them. Finally, we were able to secure an old elephant skull, and we kept it in the feed room. Whenever one of those shit disturbers would show up and put on their act, and they always did it when there was a big crowd, we would go get the skull and show them the air pockets. It shut them up every time. One hot summer, old Herman is ass deep in his pool. He would sit in there and spray water up in the air with his trunk. Sometimes he'd spray it on himself, sometimes on the unsuspecting crowd. Way to go, Herman. So he's sitting in his pool one day when a couple of the whores come up to the fence. One of them must have been in season because she wouldn't leave old Herman alone. She kept reaching through the fence with her trunk trying to reach him. Me so horny. Me love you long time. She wanted some e-cock and she wanted it bad. Another way you could tell was that her giant Rosie O'Donnell-sized pussy lips would swell up the size of couch cushions and sometimes ooze elephant lube. That's right. Just like your girlfriend. Okay. Next page.
Yeah. Also accompanying these are terrible MS Paint drawings.
They communicate enough.
Yeah, it's just they're very childlike, but it's MS Paint.
Yeah. So Herman just sat there for a while, and there's a drawing of Herman in his pool and two female elephants talking, and they have little word bubbles. One is fucking, and the other is a heart. And there's also a tractor tire. What we didn't know was that Herman was wanting a little poontang himself. Mind you, it's not unusual for certain animals to masturbate, and elephants are no exception. We could see him in the pool rocking back and forth, and we figured that's what he was doing. When he started to come out of the pool, it was quite evident we were right. The pool was a good 6 feet deep, and, well, it went from 3 foot to 6 foot deep. Herman stayed in the deep end, so when he started to come out, he emerged a little bit at a time. His chest emerged, then his front legs, and then his cock. Needless to say, elephants have humongous cocks. When they are semi-hard, they can drag on the ground. When they are flying at full staff, they can actually stick out from between their front legs, not unlike myself. Thank you, Ross.
Yeah.
So here comes Herman and his tool. He hits the steps and starts coming out. Then it happens. His rod sort of plopped onto the top step a millisecond before his right foot came down on the same spot.
So there's the MS Paint drawing, the red-eyed elephant, trunk straight up in the air, stomping on a giant elephant dick. The head of his penis labeled redhead, and then the foot labeled Jesus fuck, 6,000 pounds of cock-stomping goodness.
Holy hell! He lets out the loudest fucking trumpet you've ever heard. They actually heard him in the antelope house, which was 3/4 of a mile away. The guys in the antelope house called and said, "What in the fuck was that?" When we told them, they all came driving over. Now, Herman is stampeding around the yard screaming fucking bloody murder. Of course, the public is eating this up. They're pointing and laughing. They seem to do that a lot, don't they? And taking pictures. He's running in circles and charging the wall where the public is standing. They were separated by a huge moat, and there was no chance of Herman getting them, but it was funny to watch that every time he charged, they all would run away. Fucking respect, baby. We kept a couple old tractor tires in all the yards so the elephants would have something to play with. These things were huge. It took 2, maybe 3 keepers to unload them. Well, again, showing the intelligence of these elephants, Herman ran back up to his pool, and we thought he was going back in to cool his cock off. Instead, he trunks one of those huge fucking tires and starts running with it. We had no idea what he was going to do. He charges up to the viewing area and just stands there for a minute, his cock still throbbing. Suddenly, he hauls off and frisbees the fucking tractor tire over the moat and into the crowd. People are scattering like ants. They're diving onto the ground, running this way and that. And there is a very amazing MS Paint drawing of an evil elephant with a purple cock throwing a tire at a bunch of stick figure people.
It's labeled pissed off, swollen, cock-having Herman, by the way.
Mind you, he could have killed someone. Thank God there were no kids there. Just adults. I think the parents had cleared the kids out long before. Herman was a stud. More ways than one. Interesting side note, Herman ended up dying a couple years later. As per zoo routine, they took his carcass to the zoo hospital and they did an autopsy as they sectioned him up. A few months later, I'm attending the zoo party at one of the homes of one of the zoo big shots. We were all standing around sipping our scotch when the host took some of us guys into his bedroom. He pointed to the corner, and there, up on the custom-built stand, was a gigantic glass jar full of some sort of fluid. It was bigger around than those water bottles you see on a water cooler. We all approached the huge jar, and we see something curled up inside. It was Herman's cock. I almost shit. Turns out the wife of the zoo official could never take her eyes off that elephant's cock, and apparently it made her just as horny as those whore elephants. So the zoo gave it to her as a gift. How bizarre is that?
I could verify independently that Herman the elephant did live at the St. Louis Zoo. He did die in 1972. Cause of death, official death reason described as complications from a surgical castration. So it's entirely possible.
It's entirely possible. Dick worked too good. Except when you step on it. And I've known a few people that have worked at the zoo. And they also have weird ass stories like that. So it feels right.
Yeah.
Knew a guy who worked in the reptile house. And he had a couple stories, not nearly as outlandish as anything that Big Peeler describes, but like, okay, yeah, wacky shit goes on when you have a bunch of exotic animals kept in captivity.
Oh, yeah.
Hijinks ensue.
But he also wrote things about getting a UTI from Rockstar.
Man,
I know.
I see here he mentions that 2 60-ounce cans are 2 for $3.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful world we were living in.
Oh, yeah. We also mentions a T3 internet connection, which was, pretty boss at the time.
Yeah.
So it says, I work from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. on my new job. I love the shift and the job as well. I sit by myself in front of a computer with a T3 or something internet connection. I actually work maybe 2 of the 8 hours. Otherwise, I'm flying across the internet. To facilitate matters, the hospital provides all the free coffee I can drink. At first, this was cool. But soon I found I needed a more concentrated caffeine boost. Drinking cup after cup of coffee soon led to trip after trip to the urinal. I toyed with the idea of a catheter, then contemplated wearing Depends, but ruled both ideas out for the sake of convenience and smell. One night, after fueling up my trusty minivan for $8,457, I went into the gas station to pay the clerk. I mentioned I was in need of a good liquid boost of energy, and his crusty ears perked up. Hey, dude, check out those Rockstar energy drinks in the cooler. The 16-ounce cans are 2 for $3, and they really work. Oh, and that's $8,457 for the gas. So I bought 2 cans. I drank one on the ride to work, and before I got out of the car, I could feel the wonderful creep-crawly feeling of the caffeine doing its evil work. Awesome! All caps. Before slithering into my cubicle, I grabbed a cup of ice and poured the other can of nectar over the rocks. This I nursed for the next couple of hours. By the time the sun reared its hideous buzz-killing head around 5:30 a.m., Big Peeler was running about right. I was loving it. I soon was stopping by the aforementioned gas station every night to purchase my newfound mother's milk, and by now I had started buying 2 24-ounce cans instead of the puny, girly-sized 16-ounce ones. That's 48 ounces of liquid lightning every night. 48 ounces multiplied by 5 nights equals, a lot of Rockstar energy drink. Anyway, everything was going perfect, isn't that always a sign of disaster, for a few weeks. Then one night at work, I got up to use the bathroom. I addressed the urinal, gun in hand, and nothing. I mean, I felt the urge like I had thousands of times before, but this time something was amiss. I pushed. Again, nothing. Seeing I had plenty of time on my hands, I switched tactics. I entered a stall, dropped trow, and sat down. I figured I might as well lay some cable while I was there, and maybe that would instigate the waterworks. Dum-dee-dum, dee-dee-doo, plop. Stage 1 accomplished. Now for the after-turd squirt.
Oh, the old Alabama zebra.
All of a sudden, I felt this thing coursing through my urethra. I felt it glide up the shaft of my schwanz towards daylight. I am thinking, alien! I felt it explode out of my scooch, followed by a stream of hot, fresh urine. My feeling of bladder relief was tinged with a modicum of pain. As a rule, I don't stand après shit and look into the bowl. This time was different. I had to look. I half expected to see the baby from Eraserhead lying in the bowl looking back at me. I was half right. What I saw was something like this. Oh no.
The image is broken.
I stood and just stared at it. It was this long strand of tissue and blood, and the blood was spreading into the water. I was mortified. The first thing I thought, besides alien, was tumor. Visions of prostate cancer roared through my head. Then, without thought, or rather with subconscious thought, I grabbed my sack. I felt my balls. Left one normal size and still ball-shaped. Right one ditto. Okay, I guess. I looked back in the bowl and decided since I work at a hospital, I'll pick up my new little friend and show him off to a nurse. I ran back to my cubicle, grabbed a plastic bag, ran back to the shitter, took a deep breath, and plunged my hand into the now soupy bowl. The strand was still floating there. I hooked it with my finger and took it to the sink. I carefully rinsed the piss from it and put it into the bag. To the nurse I went. The next day, the nurse called me and explained that what I had given birth to was an accumulation of product that had been slowly lining my bladder. She wanted to see a can of Rockstar so that she could examine the ingredients. After doing so, she and the lab concluded that one of the ingredients in Rockstar, and apparently Mountain Dew's MDX, side note, MDX ruled and people were way too harsh on it,
MDX was okay,
is a vegetable oil-based substance that taken in R-wordedly large quantities would accumulate instead of assimilate in one's body. It would then adhere to one's bladder and hinder pissing. You could get a little squirt off, but soon the gunk would simply plug the hole. They put me on a strict water intake program over the weekend, which basically flushed me out. Oh, the items that I have pissed out over the last couple days. Pee, chunk, pee, chunk, but now I'm fine. Oh, I went to the gas station over the weekend to fill up my work van. I went inside and saw the same guy who recommended the Rockstars in the beginning of this sordid tale. Before I could say anything, he said, "Hey man, I gotta tell you something. You might want to lay off those Rockstars. I've been drinking these Mountain Dew MDXs and man, I can't even take a piss. Drinkers beware." Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
well,
all right.
that's, 500 words about pee-pee problems?
Yeah.
This was the style of the time.
Yeah.
Nearly 20 years ago on the internet, is that you did, these big, what we would call EN or everything, nothing type posts, and, just real slice of life, isn't that kind of interesting stuff? And sometimes it was. I mean, that's like a lot of the early blogs were just like, hi, I work at Google, and this is what my life is like. I play World of Warcraft, or I work at Churchill Downs in Kentucky, and this is what my life is like.
Who was the Churchill Downs guy?
I want to be cool.com.
Oh, okay.
At my new job, there have been a couple of instances already where some of the guys that are around my age who are also nerdy individuals have mentioned stuff, and I'm like, I know what you're talking about. I also didn't go outside.
Right. I was also
I hurt my foot when I was 20.
Yeah.
Stopped skateboarding.
Yeah.
And when my foot got better, all my friends I was skateboarding with were more interested in getting fucked up and trying to finger pop girls that weren't really interested in them. Yeah, so I was just like, well, that seems like a dead end. I wonder what's on the internet. And so things happened.
Yeah. Satan, who wrote this original essay encyclopedia entry for Big Peeler, does continue. Big Peeler's popularity did not last. Apparently addicted to the attention and accolades his initial stories brought him, he began posting a large number of threads about mundane, boring details of his life. Soon enough, these began to be voted down and gassed. Later in his posting career, Big Peeler moved on to image and rehash threads, which ranged in quality from tolerable, rare, to total crap, much more common. Repeated bans and probations did little to dissuade him. The not quite last straw came in October 2005, when Low-Tax put Big Peeler on probation for 100,000 hours for posting yet another shitty rehash thread. A short time later, Big Peeler was taken off probation, but he just couldn't keep himself from posting shit. He was permabanned December 30th, 2005 by Mayor Wilkins for, quote, breaking the deal. Despite the legacy left by his early stories, which are considered by many to be among SA's all-time best threads, nearly 3 years of shit posting has all but erased any goodwill the forums had for Big Peeler. Today, he is remembered by most as an annoyance and an attention whore. As a side note, And further example of Big Peeler's fall from grace, the previous dictionary article about him was deleted after he used it to post a long-winded, drama-laden apology shortly after he was put on perma-probation. Classy.
Yeah, his shit posting was pretty bad. And there was some other stuff. He
had a creepy Olsen twins obsession.
Yes, he also got his fucking goat taken by Fiad more than a few times. But every once in a while there was like a thread about like how the fucking rip a phone book in half and impress people. And I was thinking about this when I gave this subject to you, and you were like, "Who's Big Peeler?" And I'm like,
I don't know why.
How did you not know?
I'm an 09.
I mean,
this was before my time.
Yeah. I actually saw him at a gas station one time.
Word?
When I was working by SLU.
Uh-huh.
And I would get a ride to work with my dad sometimes. We stopped at a gas station on the south side.
Uh-huh.
I went inside and got my energy drinks, which was a style at the time. This was probably like 2006.
Was it a rock star?
It might have been. I'm trying to think, man. That era,
yeah,
that might have been when I started fucking with Red Jacks. Red Jacks was my fucking jam.
Rooster Brewster was the one I liked a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Was MDX the early iteration of Mountain Dew energy drink? Is that what I'm recalling?
Yeah, because it was before Vault, which was supposed to be a Surge remake. So yeah, that was...
I think that might have been what I was fucking with. Like, Rockstar was okay, but you couldn't always find it everywhere. Like, you could find Red Bull, you could find Monster, and maybe Nos. I'm going to tell you something, folks, listeners. If you really want to be a fucking degenerate, get Reggie Nos, cut that shit half and half in the glass with ice, with orange juice. You'll have a fucking great day.
The blue and the orange can, right?
Yes,
That's the
yes,
Reggie
sir.
Nos? Okay. Just so you know what you're looking for out there at the store
Also,
if you decide to take Brian's advice.
Also used to fuck heavy with Full Throttle.
You know, I never cared for it. I think I've had them all, and the ones that always stuck with me, Red Bull, because it was one of the first ones I ever had, but then also that white Monster Ultra.
Yeah, I'm ruining myself with fucking C4.
Yeah, C4 ain't bad.
No, I mean, well, I'm just like working so much, also I was going to the gym.
Right.
Like 4 or 5 days a week. But man, fucking energy drinks. Yeah, I'm like really, if I make it to fucking 50, but yeah, I saw him at a gas station and he was in his fucking work van for his carpet cleaning service. It was kind of like the episode of The Scumbag where CJ is talking about seeing Dan Quinn at Whole Foods looking at the cheese, where you're just like, no fucking way.
Yeah, this guy's real.
This is he's actually in society.
Yeah.
It was real strange. It was also weird to be like, wow, one of the biggest quote unquote forum superstars when I first started posting on the forums was from our shitty city.
His actual permaban, by the way, after receiving many, many bans, did come in 2007, requested by Low-Tax, approved by Low-Tax. Permaban reason? You are the fat, balding cancer of GBS. I hope you suffocate to death under a pile of your shitty, gassed threads. Yeah. Now, there have been many different reports of people saying that Big Peeler had a stroke or that he died. This was in 2011. His Twitter account at Big Peeler. The left side of my body is officially dead to me. 100% pain, no arm movement. I'm leaving my room. Only friends I know who are happy are the ones with money. And Fiad, of course, went a little nuts with it. A 10-page,
Jesus,
10-page thread, just crowing about this guy possibly being bedridden for the rest of his life. Please make Big Peeler perma Idiot King as a tribute. Thank you. Big P ain't dead. He's steaming a big ass plush carpet right now. I think this is the best summation of Big Peeler's Something Awful career. Big Peeler told some mildly amusing stories a decade ago, then became an annoyingly unfunny F-slur and got banned a bunch of times, but he didn't deserve to get owned IRL by stroke and heart attack. Also, he's right about clueless rich people being happy, thinking they're not going to get sick, grow old, die, etc. Everything about this is right, says Art Alexakis, except the mildly. and annoying, unfunny F-slur. Twisty, rest in peace. Ross, big peeler. You will be missed. Art Alexakis continues, steps up to open casket. Ha! Even in death, Ross wanted to make us laugh. His favorite shirt. I thought Lindsay was hotter before the tits, too.
Jesus Christ.
Referencing young Lindsay Lohan.
Brackets, MS Paint, draw Big Peeler's final moments in Feral 56K no.
Yeah, so a lot of people had a lot of fun at that person's expense, but a forum cropped up in, 2014, saying, Big Peeler is not dead. Ask me how I know. I met him today at a Harley-Davidson dealership in St. Louis. He was sitting with another biker dude outside drinking beer when I took his picture. I asked if he'd heard that he'd died. He laughed and had said he heard the rumor, and then he still floats around the forums. Then he and the dude in the beard started chasing me across the parking lot, screaming, give me all of your golden man babies. Scared the hell out of me. He's actually a nice guy, very tall. He's not very fast, though, nor is he dead. Now, this was 10 years ago, but I really hope that that's still the case. Now, the one last bit that I thought was really funny, I just wanted to throw this in there because it kind of intersects with all of our interests. At Garlic Corgi, you know the guy. In 2018, Chapo is good because it allows Felix Biederman, to talk about Big Peeler while thousands of people listen to it and pretends it's a socially significant activity.
It is, I will say, really strange listening to Chapo, particularly back, because this was 2018.
Yeah.
And having Felix reference something, or having like one of the Eat Chain or Episode 1 guys reference something and being like, yeah, I remember posting in that thread. I was there. I was there when the magic was written. Like, that's a real fucking weird thing to be like, yeah, I didn't know that this, why I just empty quoted someone would become part of something historically significant.
Yeah.
As far as internet culture goes.
Matt Chrisman responding, what is Big Peeler? I tried Googling it, but all I got was Amazon links to buy large potato peelers. Garlic Corgi links him to Tales from the Zoo, which we did read. I will never read that shit, Matt Christmas. And then someone named Lugal Benghazi, post in C-spam, Matt. And Matt responds, I will do no such thing. Perfect. Bellissimo. I love it.
Lugal Benghazi, his bio is just, I am from history, which is an AHOY reference.
Yes, it is. Yes. We love to see a good AHOY reference.
5 golden man babies.
Now, Big Peeler did still on Twitter, he says from St. Louis, unbiased misanthrope, right? Reads his bio. His last post was in November of last year, responding positively to Cat Turd 2. Oh, no.
And Alice in Chains.
And then retweeting something about the Alice in Chains album, Jar of Flies. Cool.
A cringe older St. Louis dude.
Yep. Oh, yeah, he did in 2014 ask Lotax on Twitter, hey, Rich, any chance of me getting unbanned and prowling the forums again? Sounds like a great idea to me. And then he pasted a picture of a cow fucking a fake cow.
Yeah, insemination device.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay, yeah. A very strange looking thing. But yeah, that's Big Peeler.
Things are always fucking on a farm, man.
Oh, and one last thing. Somebody did say, the BigPeeler.swf outlived Lotax himself. And yeah, here it is. Flash animation made of Ross's face and dicks and voting 5 and rainbows and a needle.
I mean, there were simpler times, man. No, let it go.
Okay.
We can't negate the chip tune. Also, the dicks are going into one of the Big Peeler's mouths.
Yes. Yeah, well, one is an actual photo of Big Peeler with his mouth open. They South Parked his mouth open. 5 golden man babies.
Oh, God, it's a fucking killer song. Yeah. Yeah. 5 golden man babies.
Now, for those of you who don't get that, I don't know what to tell you. So you could vote on a thread, whether it was good or bad, 1 through 5. If the thread was a 5 out of 5, there would be 5 little hash marks, and they'd all be gold.
I always voted Apple Day.
That's right. The permaban reason, now, Lotax said one thing, but according to Filthy, he got permid when he made The Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen countdown to being legal threat.
Yeah, I'll do it. That was truly a time we were living in.
Not great. He was actually permabanned using this thread, which was, the rule is, in just one sentence, describe a year of your life. He did 48 of them. Get attacked by bear at the zoo, he said at age 27. And got injured and quit with a nice settlement check. Yeah, he bought a Honda Goldwing and took off across the country. Okay.
24, pussy till my tongue aches, and wife number 1 commits suicide.
Jesus Christ. That was 23 the year before, divorce wife and by Harley. So
Marry wife number 1's rich best friend who gets arrested for stealing. Divorce wife at 26. Divorce wife and take long motorcycle ride.
It's a 28 years old. Throw huge party where I meet and fall in love with a big tittied 18-year-old and get married. Age 29, pussy till my wife gets pregnant. Age 30, sell Harley to pay for new
31
daughter.
is great in the midst of all this. Start my own business and consider suicide. 32, wife is pregnant again as business begins to boom.
Second daughter is born as older girlfriend begins to stalk me. Age 34, move into bigger house and wifey kicks ex-girlfriend's ass in parking lot.
With the dance emoji.
Uh-huh.
This is really taking me back to my late teens, like all of this. I can taste the shitty warm beer I was hiding in my closet.
And it's no wonder he's a fan of Cat Turd 2.
Yeah.
This is exactly Cat Turd 2's type of guy.
Accidentally runs over his own dog.
Yeah, that type of shit.
Wifey commits suicide.
Age 38, hunt down friend who his wife was having an affair with. Drive him into woods, start to shoot him in head. He cries, I drive away. And it's never mentioned again, by the way.
There's a lot going on there.
A guy who made shitty threads and was hated by a lot of folks. And for the crime, what crime? For posting, folks.
What am I being arrested for? For making a succulent thread?
Yeah. I see you know your jujitsu well. Yeah. A strange man. Here's hoping that he's still doing all right. Big Peeler, Russ, buddy, if you're out there and you get a wind of the show, give us a call, 314-246-9766. Russ, we're in town, baby. You can come see us. We will be happy to have you. We love to talk about life.
My dick, Ross.
Yeah, anything.
Fucking try.
Anything. We'd love to hear about the time you almost killed a man, all that good stuff. Please. But in the meantime, it's time to show you something nasty. That's right. It's a shock.jpg time, Brian.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Shock.jpg.
Oh, God.
He looks up from his phone for the first... No, I'm kidding.
No, I was looking at Viamixes.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
I'm trying to get healthy.
Understood. So this one's called Rave Musik, Brian. If you're going to spew into this, it says. RaveMusik.com. Music with a K, of course.
Oh, now, wow. That's a lot of puke.
So, lesbian puke porn, but then it reverses in the middle so that she just eats it all back up. And then it starts over. The music is funny to me because it's like, today this would be hyperpop.
Yeah, this is 100 gex.
Yeah. Ridiculous. So, yeah, it's lesbian porn. The one naked woman is like on what appears to be a dining room table.
And the woman that is vomiting is like on like a bar
step
height,
stool or
bar height stool or something.
It's like, let me get up there just high enough. Guys, couldn't you take this to the floor? We could make it easier to shoot. Please do something. I don't know. People don't follow logic when it comes to shooting fetish porn. This one wasn't so much gross as it was just like funny because of the reversing the clip in the middle and having it go back into her mouth, only to start back up again as soon as the music starts. So it's like a perpetual motion machine of vomit, reverse vomit. Which kind of like this show, actually. That's kind of the...
kind of like this show. Jesus Christ.
It's so fucking weird. I was thinking about this. In the 3 years we've been doing this show, I'm like looking for the sickest, weirdest shit. And then I'm like, what am I doing this for?
Yeah, I thought we were going to retire this.
We are. It's... I don't know. I just am compelled, forces beyond my understanding to just seek out. This stuff.
I understand the desire to want to like find weird shit because like I think that was part of the original appeal of the internet was like finding the most weird, esoteric, bizarre thing, and it didn't have to be something like Goatsy or Tub Girl or Jap Scat or something.
Jar Squatter, yeah.
Scat Swap or something. And sometimes it was just like someone that was like, oh, wow, you have an undiagnosed mental illness and you found WordPress or LiveJournal. I think it's just kind of like finding what exists beyond the shadow.
Yeah, okay.
I understand that. I'm not saying you're right for it, but I understand it.
Well, while we think about that, I guess it's time for the breath mint.
It's time for your mom's favorite part of the show. It's time for the breath mint.
At my wife's urging,
My wife.
All right, thank you. We started watching from season 4. I don't know where she decided that was the place we were going to start over, but Handmaid's Tale, or as I like to call it, Elizabeth Moss Stares into the Middle Distance, the television show. Handmaid's Tale season 4 is, boy, it feels like this show should have ended, and yet it continues. We wrapped up season 4 last night, and it's fairly uneven. Are you familiar with like how the plot is going at this point, or are you even?
I know very little about this show.
All right, so the basics are just like the book. The United States was taken over by a theocratic order. It's all about birth rates, you know. So things that were quaint when Margaret Atwood wrote the book are now like, it's just kind of like, I read something like this on the news. So it's getting less and less enjoyable to kind of see as a work of fiction. At this point in the 4th season, we've now gone, June, the main character there, has escaped captivity. She's now in the land of freedom, a.k.a. Canada. And just going to leave that there. And, you know, decides to, now she's going to stick it to the people in Gilead. Guy who was the head of the household who sexually assaulted her is in Canadian custody. And so it's like this season-long thing where she's planning her revenge. And it comes together by the end, but boy, there's a lot of place setting. We're heading towards an inevitable outcome, and it does get there, but it just feels like it takes a long while. And we're at this point where Elizabeth Moss is directing most of the episodes. And so, of course, her face is front and center in every scene. Every time there's a big emotional reaction, it's her staring into the middle distance with varying degrees of emotion playing across her face. It's interesting when it happens once a week. When you start binging it, you start to see it and start to fucking laugh at it. No matter what the actual event is happening on screen, you're like, oh, there she goes again. I have no problem with Elizabeth Moss. She's been in some great stuff, obviously. Mad Men, that great Invisible Man movie. She's great in that. She's great in that fucking Her Smell movie, where she basically plays Courtney Love. There's a lot of stuff she's good in. And she's good in some moments of Handmaid's Tale. But I'm ready to be done with this story and this character. I'm just annoyed by everything that's happening. And I don't think my wife can tell just yet. But in about another 2 weeks or so, I'm going to be making it very obvious that I do not give a shit what happens to these people.
Oh man, so it's just completely fallen flat.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, it's competently written. You know, it's shot in kind of this elevated horror A24 style. Elizabeth Moss does know her way around a really good framing, and like she's got an eye for certain compositions. But like, she's directing herself, so of course she's front and center in every fucking scene. And it's like, even when she's not on camera, you can almost like feel like Poochie style. Where's June? What's happening with June? Because a lot of the other characters are not nearly as interesting. I have a lot of problems with it, but at the same time, it looks good. It does still have that problem of modern television where it looks very gray.
desaturated.
But I think that's intentional when they're in Gilead to show you that the red color of the Handmaid outfits are the only thing that stands out, right?
Right.
It falls flat when you're in Canada, and it still looks like Rhode Island or whatever. It just feels like there's something missing. My wife says, "Oh, we've seen season 5. We're gonna continue. We're gonna watch it again." Like, oh, cool. I'll make her do this with any other show, or whatever. I think the only one we did that with was Yellow Jackets. When Yellow Jackets came back, we were like, we gotta watch all this again because it's real good.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's what I've been watching. That, and I showed my kids Evangelion the first couple episodes, and I had my fingers crossed the whole time. I was like, oh boy, I hope they really like it. And so far, knock on wood, they're into it. So here's hoping they can stick it out. Because we just finished Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was the other one from the 90s where I was like, yeah, you guys might actually like this. And yes and no. They kind of got into it. How about you, big dog? What do you got going on?
Too much. Photographed 15 shows last month. Feels like a lot.
It's like a show every other day.
Yeah, just about. The last week or so, God, Spirit Box, Raw Nerves with Spiritual Cramp. Last night was Beartooth. Yeah, just a lot of music. So much music. I don't want to go 20-minute monologue about it, but
yeah,
it's just kind of like, wow, that's a lot of stuff I've documented. Like, I was like thinking like, oh yeah, Chiodos happened last month, and Bill Murray and Soul Coughing and Remy Wolf and just so much stuff.
I'm intrigued about Beartooth live show. So what was that like?
It was cool. I can't really say too much because it was one of those shows where after our 3 songs in the pit, we were ushered out of the building. But that happened.
It's kind of a frequent thing for that, so I guess it's not unexpected.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often. That's only the second time that's happened at the pageant for me ever. What I got to photograph was entertaining. It's not necessarily my kind of music, but it was a good show with good light. Band had good energy. The crowd was fucking stoked. They had this band they were also in the bill with Chiodos, Kalos Dow Boys.
Oh yeah, you mentioned them,
which are just insane. I feel like it's just like a fever dream watching them live. It's so weird. It's a lot of fun. I'm not sure it's something I would listen to while doing the dishes, but watching them live is super fun. The singer is just like screaming like if you're in the pit, you're in fucking danger. Like let's open the fuck up. There was this southern metal band called Gideon on the bill.
Okay.
And also in the same category, not something I would probably listen to on my own, but they did not fuck around. I was like, damn, well, okay, they really just like, we're just going to go fucking balls out for St. Louis. And I was like looking at photos of them, like, I don't know, the dude's wearing like a tweed cowboy hat. I don't know, but I'm like, he gets up on stage and he just starts fucking hyping the crowd up, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty tight. The drummer sound like it was one of those bands like, well, everyone sounds good, and like this guy's got a great fucking voice, and him and the crowd have a really good vibe going. I'm like, all right, I fuck with this. This is cool. This is fun. Fuck it, we ball.
Why not?
And then the night before that was Spirit Box, which was sold out. That show kind of like felt a little weird because Gel was supposed to be on that tour, but Gel broke up because their guitar player was a gooner who was embezzling tens of thousands of dollars from the band.
Thousands of dollars. Yeah.
So Dying Wish is basically like what if Amyl and the Sniffers were like a heavy metal band.
Okay.
Which is, maybe not fair to the band, The Dying Wish, but like that's the easiest way to convey it. It's like they've got a super high energy tiny blonde woman with a killer voice, and then like a bunch of dudes that like have definitely like bought roller food at a gas station.
Who hasn't at this point? But yes, I get what you're saying.
They looked great. They sounded great. Super good energy. Then about 2/3 of the way through their set, someone got their shit rocked so hard in the mosh pit that they had to stop the show.
Oh, damn.
I'm so used to how crowds have been in St. Louis that like recently that when you have to turn the house lights back on, it's because like there's some stupid white dudes fighting, which is why I didn't photograph JPEG Mafia the other night. Because I'm like, well, I've seen how the last couple of hip hop shows have gone at the Factory, and JPEG Mafia is basically the same crowd that would attract like that would go to like, you know, Death Grips or something. And I saw how that crowd was kind of barely keeping it together. Like, you know what? Like, I'll just photograph Spirit Box because one, I can, and two, I also don't have to deal with that or drive 50 minutes out to a venue now.
Right.
One way. And I've heard no one talk about the JPEG Mafia show in St. Louis. It would have been a big deal a couple years ago. I was trying to get Bert to fucking book Scaring the Hose.
That's right.
Because that would have been fucking amazing. I would have lost my goddamn shit. Would have lost my goddamn fucking mind. And I should have gone to Louisville to see it. But, you know, whatever. I was cucking myself mentally. Someone's got their shit rocked, and they got, you know, the staff and security and EMTs that we have did everything they were supposed to do. That person they're gonna be okay. They might be feeling like, you know, shitty for a couple days, but they'll be okay. But man, like, you gotta get your fucking clock rung pretty hard for them to be like, oh man, we gotta stop the show. Also the crowd's credit, you could hear like bands being quiet, they're walking off stage, and everyone's just kind of watching this happen, and you could hear like people in the crowd be like, "You're gonna be all right, man." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're not gonna be shitty about this. Okay, cool. This is a good crowd."
Some of that metal crowd positive energy you hear so much about. It's okay,
dude. Like, people are like clapping and like, you know, like, I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's a good vibe. But, you know, the band Dying Wish comes back on stage, and the guitar player that's been like hyping, open up the fucking pit.
Yeah.
The whole fucking time's like, I know it's against your best interest right now, but let's get fucking moving. And like, the crowd did not mosh very hard for the rest of their set. Like,
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Loathe was good. Didn't expect that. That dude is very much from fucking Liverpool. That dude he talked like fucking Ringo Starr. They were cool, but Spirit Box was one of the more impressive productions I've seen put on in that venue in a long while. Tons of video screens. The vocalist is wearing like this silver bodysuit with a bunch of like silver chains.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, she just looks great. The band sounds great. I was the only photographer that was allowed to shoot in the pit that wasn't with the tour because I was the house photographer.
All right.
Lots of good light. Very much so like a stadium level production, and, you know, in a small large cap is the oxymoron that people use, a 2,300 cap room. And like the room they played in like Ontario or Toronto a couple of days ago looked bigger than the factory.
Wow.
And they fucking sold it out. So like very, very intense, very professional tour. They had a bodyguard with them that was like kind of prowling the venue that looked like a dude that, I'm going to say it, he looks like the sort of guy that's part of a tour for like an incredibly paranoid wimpy rapper. like a guy that doesn't pay respect to the scenes he's visiting, his bitch made. But like, it's a metal act. And he like came into the pit while I'm photographing and like demanded to check my photo pass to make sure I had the right photo pass to be in there. And I'm like, damn, dude, like, this is a metal show. Like, I feel like I'm about to get like hustled because I'm wearing some cruise colors I have no idea about. It was totally weird, but they sounded great. It was a super good show. I'm really fucking bummed that I apparently left a song or two before Homeboy from Beartooth came out and did a song with them. I would love to have gotten that.
Damn.
Yeah. I was like tired. I have work in the morning. I gotta go work now.
I know.
But that was a super fucking fun show. The night before that was Raw Nerves and Spiritual Cramp at Delmar Hall. And I feel like that show got a little bit cannibalized by the fact that right next door at the pageant was Mayday Parade with Microwave. And I feel like there's
overlap. Yeah,
there's some overlap. There's a lot, particularly fucking I feel like a lot of people probably just bought tickets to that show to see Microwave again.
I would imagine. Yeah.
So that show didn't have the draw that I think would have hoped. But I talked with Mike, the vocalist from Spiritual Cramp, and he's a sweet dude. And he's like, dude, it's fucking St. Louis on Monday night. And I'm like, that's probably the best attitude to have. Like, it's a little tough, but I think it's the first time Bad Nerves have played in St. Louis in a long time. They sound great. Bad Nerves, fucking amazing. Again, what if Hives were a skate punk band from the Bay Area? Like, just, yeah, it's entirely my fucking shit.
Made in a lab to be up Brian's alley.
Yeah, super good. Like, seemed like really great dudes. Really fucking fun and interesting. And the night before that was Super Heaven, Glare, and Spy. And I'll keep this short and sweet. Just dudes playing dude's playing music. Like what if we played really heavy shoegazy stuff, which is the style of the time.
Yep.
All three of those bands have a new record that is either come out in the last 6 months or about to come out. Spy just came out with a new record a couple weeks ago. Glare's new record just came out. Super Heaven, I think, also a similar situation. All three records are pretty fucking cool and interesting. It was a very cool show. My last thing I got is Severance season 2. I'm not finished with it. I think there's some really interesting stuff going on. I just got done with the Gemma episode.
Ooh.
Which I actually thought was kind of hot dog piss.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like, okay, so you just create a bunch of questions, got to the edge of giving something for us to chew on, and then you're like, no, we're just going to make it. Oh, you're David Lynching it. You made it feel like it felt like they were writing that episode as they were doing it. And I'm sure it plays out in the next episode.
Yes and no. If I remember correctly, the next episode is the one where they focus on Miss Cobell.
In the Ether Town.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about that, unfortunately. That got spoiled a little bit for me, but now I'm interested. But I think the season's interesting.
They're taking swings. I will give you this. They are taking swings at stuff that lesser shows would have already blown their load with in the first season. So I feel like they've held off maybe on some stuff that's really interesting. I do agree that the Gemma episode is an oddball. This could have been told through flashback, or there could have been something for later on. Maybe I don't know. Here's all these things that are happening to this one character. Okay. But we know what it is. It's severance. She's being severed every time this happens, right? And it's like, okay. And like, what is this leading to?
Yeah, I thought the season got off to a weird start.
I don't know. I liked it. Mark just comes in running because it's straight off of the.
I mean, that part's. I mean, like just a general. The episode or that season takes a little bit longer than I felt like it should to actually like get its bearings.
Yeah, they fake you out with the other innies that they bring in from other departments. That we could have cut a lot of that. You're right.
Mr. Milkshake?
Why are you a child? Although that one character does get that line, why are you a child?
And Ali Shawkat
shows up because she's contractually obligated to be in every show ever.
Yeah. I think some of the stuff with Irving's pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah.
The stuff on the retreat.
The Ortbo.
The Ortbo, yeah.
Yeah, his moment with Heliar in that retreat was really something else.
I guess that's how the fandom, Helena and Heli.
Yes, that's how you differentiate the two. Yeah, that's right.
With Helena, some really amazing acting between both of them.
Britt Lauer doing things I didn't think she was capable of based on the first season.
So subtle. Yeah. We get Heli back, and he goes from drowning her to then comforting her.
Yes.
It's just such an amazing switch. Yeah. And shows just the dynamics of those characters. Yeah, it's just so weird that it's a big budget show on a subscription service
that no one subscribes to.
No one subscribes to. It's just the whole entire show where the whole entire problem is capitalism. Everything post-industrial revolution.
Yeah, and it's Apple's most successful show outside of Ted Lasso. Figure that out.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right there. I think it's interesting. It's definitely. It fucking feels weird. It feels like late 90s office culture.
Well, intentionally so. Yeah, I think they were even evoking specific photographers who were doing stuff at the time. I think they were based, because if I remember correctly, the lookbook had stuff from these Swedish guys who were taking these very sterile office photographs at that time period. So I mean, it's
I don't doubt that.
Down to the colors, like they're like, oh, there was this green carpet in this one photo that we had, and we decided that that's going to be the carpet in all the severed floor. And like, oh, okay. And they're doing this very sterile thing with the style of the backgrounds and the style of everything. Gwendolyn Christie shows up. I don't know if you've gotten there yet with the goats.
She's in like the second episode.
Yes, okay, because she does come back again, which is great. I love to see her. And I love to see Patricia Arquette. Miss Cobell has been missing this season so far. And this next episode that you're about to see is all Cobell all the time. And it's probably one of my favorites of this season, just because this one slows down to a crawl. But at the same time, the character moments are fantastic. Patricia Arquette doing masterful work. There's just some great stuff. And then story-wise, too, there's some really great plot things that are happening. But they're all in the background.
Yeah.
It's all backgrounded to, I had a purpose in life. That purpose is now gone. What am I going to do with my life? Which is also the conflict that Mark S. is having. Which is why he joined Lumen in the first place. Wife died, right? My purpose in life is gone. What am I going to do with the rest of what I've got? So there's this great mirroring of their characters. You kind of get why she hung around him so much and kind of fixated on him as a person. It's good.
Yeah. It's interesting, some good art direction and a lot of good cinematography. It's a fun show to watch. I think there's a couple episodes that don't hit as hard as the first season, but they're still good. I don't know. I don't hate it. I'm having fun with it. I think it's just like, work sucks and it's alienating and weird. The work you and the outside you. I mean, sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's not so subtle in how they're storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, they're making very literal a thing that we all feel, so.
All right, my dude. You think it's time to
shuffle off to Buffalo? Yeah, I think it is. At this time, we're going to tell you where to find us online in case you just can't get enough of this good stuff. Brian, why don't you start us off?
Oh me, oh my, oh me.
Break them off something.
Break them off a little something. If you want to harass me on the internet, you can find me on Twitter at ishotgidibor, ishotguidbord. If you want to find me, you can find me on old Blue Sky on the same username. If you want to harass me on Instagram, it's a
motherfucking music photographer.
It's a music photographer. If you want to check out my photography portfolio, it's assholemusicphotographer.com. If you want to check out the last and only good media website left in St. Louis, you can head over to theartsstl.com. Some good photos and stuff have been uploaded from all the goings on last month. I still haven't finished my Lord Jane Grace or Mannequin Pussy pieces just because life's been so fucking hectic. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. Jason, what about you?
Oh boy, well, you can find me anywhere there's a video crime. Chances are that's me. VIDEOCRIME. You got your Twitters, your Blue Skies, your Letterboxd, the occasional forums post. You might see me, but most of the time, I'm mostly on those three places. You can also find me as part of a podcast that's not this one, submitted for the approval of the Midnight Pals. There I play a fictionalized version of horror icon Stephen King. And season 2 still coming along. We're waiting on that musical episode. It has not dropped yet. I'm hyped. I don't sing in it, which is probably for the best. So you can go midnight-pals.simplecast.com or search Midnight Pals anywhere that podcasts are sold. You can reach this show in a number of ways. My personal favorite, of course, is the telephone, 314-246-9766. Big Peeler, Russ, if you're out there, please give us a call. That's 314-AHOY POO if you like to spell with your telephone. We also will accept a text message. However you choose to do so, that's fine. If you don't feel comfortable texting or calling or what have you, you can also shoot us an email. Jason at 8 minutesofdogsbarking.com. Brian with a Y at 8 minutesofdogsbarking.com. You can also support the show, patreon.com/48minutesofdogs. We got Thanks I Hate It. We got the Mind Zone. We got the Punishment tier. If you get yourself in at the $10 level, you get to tell us what to do. We got a little over half a year to go to get an appropriate punishment for the year 2025. We have yet to decide upon what it is, so you can help do that thing. Patreon.com/48 for 8 Minutes of Dogs. And don't forget, people in the St. Louis and surrounding areas, May 22nd at the Heavy Anchor, 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking Live, the 3rd anniversary, live to tape podcast spectacular and extravaganza. Oh, baby, we got some really funny people. God's favorite child, Striker Spurlock, as well as minor YouTube celebrity Kenny Kynes,
who's currently in Japan. He's practicing the blade.
He's folding that Hanzo steel 1,000 times. Hopefully, he will make it by the time the show rolls
He's going
around.
to dethrone God just in time to come back to St. Louis and be on our live podcast.
I'm very excited. He's an amazing human. I've seen him so many times. He had the YouTube channel where he was doing reviewing trailers. If you remember this, he did the trailer reviews. But Kenny Kynes, an amazing guest. I'm so glad we got a hold of him. That's a Heavy Anchor, May 22nd. That's a Thursday night. It is at 8 p.m. It's $10. But if you are a punishment tier level subscriber on the Patreon, your name will be on the list. You know what to do.
That's right.
Exclusive podcast content and a free live show? Good golly, who wouldn't want to do that?
I'm dry firing a Glock 17 to my temple.
God damn it. I was trying to do a thing here. All right. Anyway, as we always say at this time, namaste, good luck, give mommy a good gut fucking, 25th Amendment now, eat the knife, who ate all the pussy.
We've got so many words we use.
We do have a lot of words.
I wish we could just be like one of those fucking dogs on reels.
Yeah.
That has like the board that like walk. Bad
Jason,
mommy, bad
beer,
mommy,
Jason
walk,
beer,
walk.
Jason beer now.
Goatsy,
Jason beer
goatsy,
now.
goatsy.
Man, but whole.
Crypto.
Something
Twitter.
Something awful.
Shit post.